This morning's lesson is called The Certainty of Christ's Crucifixion. Have you ever done something and regretted doing it? You ever said something and maybe regretted doing it after you did it? Our key verse is Luke chapter 23, verse 47 this morning, and it says, "Now when the centurion saw what was done, he glorified God, saying, 'Certainly this was a righteous man.'" Let me explain this verse to you. We'll get to it in the lesson, but I want to explain this key verse to you, why it's the key verse. When the centurion saw what was done. The centurion, folks, was the guy who was in charge of the crucifixion. He was the guy who was in charge of making sure that the crucifixion was carried out the way that it was supposed to be carried out. And the verse says, "Now when the centurion saw what was done, he glorified God, saying, 'Certainly this was a righteous man.'" If you read John chapter 12, verse 27, it says, "Now," it's written in red, so I know that this is Jesus talking. It says, Now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from the hour, but for this cause came I unto this hour." John 12:27 this morning is telling us that Jesus understood why he had come into this world. He had come into this world to die on the cross. Jesus knew why he was here. He was fully prepared spiritually for the ordeal of the cross. Although few may have recognized it at the time, the crucifixion of Jesus was a climatic meeting between the sin of mankind and the love of God. What happened there was the ultimate expression of faith. It's hard to imagine a worse way to die than being crucified. I don't know if y'all ever think about this. When I go to the beach and I go in the water, sometimes I think about a shark eating me. I still go in the water because that's how I'm at the beach, I'm going to go in the water. But I still think about what it would feel like if a shark bit into me and ate me. Man, that'd be a horrible way to die. There was one time I climbed this tree stand, and I was trying to move the tree stand, and I unbuckled the tree stand, and the tree stand started to slip, and I started to fall 20 feet below, and I thought, man, this is going to stink. This is going to be a terrible way to die. But luckily, fat boys bounce. And I'm still here standing this morning. It's hard to imagine a worse way to die than crucifixion. Because in crucifixion, I know we've talked about this before, and I know you've heard Denny talk about it before, but in crucifixion, a person was nailed to a cross. And the cross, folks, picture this. The cross was laid on the ground. The person was nailed to the cross on the ground. Then they had to pick the cross up and stick it in a hole. Can you imagine being nailed to a cross with your hands and feet and then picking the pole up and you're being raised up and then that pole falling in the ground deep enough to hold it up? What that would feel like? We think that crucifixion goes pretty quick. And when I say that, we read the Bible, we read about Jesus being crucified and he's dying and giving up the ghost. But the cross was the person on the cross was left to die of a slow death. It wasn't quick at all. They died from exposure. They died from starvation. And this process could take several days. Remember in the story where he talked about the centurion told him to break the legs? Because, see, when you're being crucified, there's a little plate, if I understand it correctly, that they can or take the pressure off. But by breaking their legs, they can't push up no more, so it speeds up the death process. It was so severe. Crucifixion was such a severe punishment that if you were a Roman citizen, it was against the law to crucify you. We got to be careful. He died as a martyr for mankind, okay? He was not, and neither was he, dying of an example of what non-violent resistance to. No, that's not why he was being crucified. And he didn't die so that his